Yo, we want to thank you guys for checking us out every day. Your number one spot for entertainment news. You already know, like we always tell you, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the share button, let us know what's up. And come on in. Yes, it's another edition of the Weekly Entertainment News Podcast. I'm your brother Hiram Hakeem, and once again, I'm in the building. Listen, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. Let somebody know we do this thing every Tuesday. We do it every week. Of course, you know, I am a journalist representing that reporter newspaper here in Ohio, Blackburn, Ohio, to be specific. Some of you may call it Akron. And you already know, man, we like to just get you the news, get you in and get you out. This is entertainment news specifically. So entertainment of all types. I like to get you in and get you out. I don't like to kidnap you and keep you with your day. As you know, you already know. I've been wanting to talk about this for a minute. This is that conscious content. A little knowledge you can't get in college, a little understanding from your planning, or shall I say, for your planning, right? So listen, man, this FBA thing, right? I've been called tether. What the hell? I'm black as hell, man. Like I told you before, I am Mr. Shadow Band himself, the black man, okay? It gets no black on, okay? And I do understand the rhetoric of the FBA. I do understand the stuff that they're saying. I get it. However, some of the stuff is, how can I say, questionable at best, all right? Now, I am down with us claiming an identity, but I do want you guys to know that sometimes you have to realize who you're talking to when you're in my comment section. I am a journalist, okay? I will do my due diligence to get the knowledge that I need to disseminate it to you. Sometimes I sit with people of a certain persuasion that can educate and elevate what I'm saying much better. Those of you say, they say, hey, yo, you need to get your sources. I don't need to get no damn sources. I'm a journalist, okay? I'm not a philosopher, but I leave that to the philosophers and the teachers. Speaking of this, I had the opportunity to bring on college professor, Black Studies, okay? Pan-African Studies, whatever the hell she's calling it, over at Kent State. She came in our offices. We had a conversation about this here, FBA, and all some questions that I had, little elementary questions to dispel the myths, or the hoopla, or the poppycock, or whatever the hell you want to call the stuff, okay? So listen, we're going to take a break. I'm going to let you see what she had to say. When we come back, I'm going to holler at you. Everybody who don't know, this is the lovely Professor Calhoun, Deborah Calhoun, who tell everybody where you work at, what you do.
Kent State University in the Department of Pan-African Studies, and where I taught Black Experience 1 and 2.
Good. And that's why you're here. All we got to plug out what we're doing now. But since what we're talking about now is we're going to reach into the Pan-African teacher, or the
mode, okay.
Yeah, the mode. And what was the name of the class you was teaching that you just finished last semester?
Black Experience 1.
What's up with Black Experience 2?
Well, Black Experience 2 picks up with 1, where we start with the Civil War and move that through the present day.
So it's fair to say that you're the type of lady that knows a lot about our experience, not just here in America, but all over the globe?
Yeah, and the African part of the diaspora, yes, of the world. Those places outside of the African continent, in terms of where we reside, where we live, where we have culture, where we make culture, and where we exist.
I like that we thing, man. Okay, man, listen, we're going to just take this thing from a very elementary perspective so we can just kind of help people kind of shift through the BS that's being promoted through these digital airwaves, okay? Here we go. Can you simply explain, with your thorough understanding of our Black experience, or from Black Experience 1, your class, okay? Can you simply explain how everyone that's Black, that looks like you and I, are connected to the African continent?
Well, I'll even make it wider than that, in that all of humanity can trace their origins to a single common ancestress who probably was African and lived easily 100,000 to 230,000 years ago.
So you said everybody on this continent,
the world,
in the world,
yes, can trace their origins to the African continent in a general sense. This is before the establishment of countries or continents or institutions that rule other people. This is when we were at a very simple level of existence. Gatherer hunters, eating for today and getting up and doing a grind the next day.
So you are saying from your expertise that humanity is African in origin.
We are African in origin.
No matter what you look like today,
yes,
you are a
connected
product from that
African continent. And the diversity that we see in skin, eye, hair, color, texture is a result of us moving out of the African continent after many years of being there. What's called, Africa's called the cradle of civilization for a reason. It was our incubator that protected humanity in its early forms from what was outside of the African continent. Africa is blessed because it's in a tropical situation.
Come on now.
It is warm. It has plenty of flora and fauna and animals to kind of track and eat and all of that. But that was our incubator, where some parts of the world had experienced what was called a closing off or an ice age, if you will. There's two migration theories that suggest that.
We're about to talk about one.
Look, I want to finish with mitochondrial DNA and our African unity connected.
Let's go.
We have one researcher named Rebecca Kahn, and she's from the University of Hawaii. And she did a study she was a geneticist, I think, and a biologist, I believe. She did her work in genetic studies on how humanity is linked. And her study looked at the mitochondrial DNA. And that's a form of DNA that we all have DNA. That's that chain that we see. That's the building blocks of what makes us our 23 chromosomes. And the mitochondrial is important because, one, it's passed from women to her children. And it's also passed through the female side of it, because we have male and we have female in terms of gender, right? And the mitochondrial part is what is constant in all of us. So basically, she looked at how was this matrilineage organized, and she was able to trace through placentas that she was able to study. And a placenta, we know, connects us to our mother, and there's blood in that, and there's live tissue and whatnot in that, but there's also this DNA that remains constant. So her suggestion was, let's find what's the oldest of the old in these tracing back, as she tried to trace from the present day backward. So she was able to look at 147 samples, I think, of women from 5 areas of the world. And that's how she got this chain that remained constant. And the mitochondrial, she suggested then, if the more changes, must be the oldest, because it remains constant through the children, it remains constant through the woman. It can be traced. So she went backwards in the clock, if you will, from present day backwards to this probably most common recent ancestress, who was probably woman, what they call mitochondrial Eve.
Okay.
She has a whole study about it. I'm not a geneticist.
What's her name again?
Rebecca Kahn.
Okay.
But her stuff is in all over it made like headways all throughout the scientific world. I think Nature did a deep dive into her presentation and her thesis. So you can ask Miss Google, she know everything,
right,
and find out about Dr. Kahn and her work.
Okay.
So in that sense, we are one, even though we know that migrations out of Africa happened as well.
Speaking about that, can you explain simply the quote unquote out of Africa theory?
Well, based on Africa being our incubator, based on the fact that many of the African and archaeological finds, that is of Australopithecines and Zinjanthropus and Homo sapiens sapiens, and I'm trying to think who's my other connected one. I can't remember. Oh, Ardipithecus remedius, the most oldest one.
Come on now.
They all came from Africa. They're found nowhere else. The oldest of the old is in Africa. So the suggestion is that has to be the starting point. If the oldest of the old is there and nowhere else so far, and every time they find new stuff, it pushes the clock back further, right? So from, the Leakeys in the 50s to Donald Johanson in the 70s, to Dr. Lovejoy at Kent State in, I think, 89, I believe. All this is pushing the clock backward and to suggest there's no stuff older nowhere but in Africa. So the migration then had to come from that point out. So the migration theory, or out of Africa theory, suggests that easily there were migrations from Africa out to other parts of the world. And as people got their stuff together, you always want to know what's on the other side of that hill. And it might have been because of food pressure, because those people, remember, are pre-industrial. They live by hand to mouth. But you catch today, you eat today, you get up and start to grind all over again. So it might have been food pressure that did the migration out. But we know that at least 93,000 years ago, humanity migrated out of the continent of Africa. Some may have stayed, but it moved to other areas.
Is the Bering Straits, is that a real thing?
The Bering Strait is a piece of property. I mean, it's a land bridge, an ice bridge, if you will, that connected one part of the world to the other.
Oh, okay. Make it plain. Well, listen, this right here, this book, everyone talks about the African presence in ancient America. They came before Columbus, okay?
Yes.
Tell somebody who wrote this book.
Oh, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima.
Now, you brought this in. Do you teach your students this stuff?
I do, because what it talks about is the Black presence in the New World before Columbus.
And that's what we need to talk about, because a lot of people out here are saying some wild stuff and everything. Now listen, we do know they came before Columbus. We do know and understand that the African presence, or we were on this continent prior to Columbus coming to America, yes?
We came as visitors, we came as influencers. In fact, I think one of the pages in Dr. Van Sertima's book talks about two things. It talks about how Africans possibly could have got to the New World because of the counterclockwise ocean currents. Think of it as a highway in the ocean that runs, that if a ship catches it, if you sail off the west coast of Africa and you catch this wave, you're going to bump south into South America, Brazil, if you will, bump up a little bit, hit Central America, hit the islands, then hit the so-called New World. And then it circles back from the eastern part of the United States back to the Europe side, hitting, I want to say, France and England, bumping down to where Portugal, Spain is.
You're dropping some real knowledge here. This is great. So when we talk about the current and everything, that's why it was easy.
Right, you just coasted.
So he really, so here's the thing.
So he caught the wave and coasted. That's how he got there. Before, they were trying to go the opposite way and fighting against upstream. And it took a lot of man and labor power. So ships got lost, all that stuff. So
in the book, they came for Columbus. A lot of people now are saying, outside of the book, like they saying the hell with what the book is saying. They're saying that according to Christopher Columbus's journals or diaries or works, they're saying that we know that he said he saw copper tone people, excuse me, when he landed on this continent, when he stepped on land and everything. You got something interesting about that. Talk about that.
He was told of them.
What do you mean told?
He was told by other explorers who had done work before, who were cartographers, who were star chart observers, that there was a Black presence in the New World.
No, he said in his works he saw it. Are you telling me he didn't see it with his own eyes?
He may have saw Taino Indians. He landed in Panama.
Did he land in America?
He did not land in America.
Say what?
He did not land in America.
Wait a minute, Christopher Columbus came in America and he said, they said he saw copper tone people.
Yeah, America Vespucci, I think, is the one that so-called discovered. But remember, you can't discover something where there's people already there.
So you're telling me Christopher Columbus never stepped on foot?
He never stepped foot in the Americas. When I say the Americas, I mean what we would consider North Americas. Now, did he land in Panama? Yeah. Did he kind of hang around in Brazil? Did he touch the coasts of South America and then hit Central America? Yes.
It's powerful.
But he didn't touch.
Oh, he didn't see the quote unquote copper tone people on American soil.
He might have saw indigenous people. That is the Taino Indians, or Native Americans.
Do they look like us?
Well, I mean, I think there's some discussion about even the origins and the presence and the DNA of indigenous people. Some can be fairly dark.
Because
fairly dark.
They
meaning,
came before the Columbus, so they was probably
Well, some say that they may have been some landlocked, lost Africans that maybe made the trip because of the ocean currents and then digging back was stranded, or if you will. But we know that many indigenous people come in all kind of stripes and looks.
Well, let me just go here. I know you spoke on it with the early knowledge you were dropping, so let's just put it out there. Is there a way that hold on, let me make sure I answer it right, because I'm asking you this. Is it possible that you can be 100% Black American and not have African blood in your DNA?
I think Africa is a continent that has the only collection of Black folks in the world. We are found nowhere else. The DNA doesn't support that. Just the size of the African continent and the numbers of people who were there before the slave trade and during the slave trade and those that survived the Maafa or the slave trade, we're nowhere else in the world.
We're in America now.
But that was because of a process that removed us.
Right. That's what
in
I'm
the
trying
15th,
to say. So I'm trying to
or the 14th century, excuse me.
Right. So I'm trying to say can we be African? No, can we be 100% Black here, grown here, raised here, up out of the ground or native to this land without having African DNA? Can we live like this without having African DNA?
I haven't seen the evidence because the DNA says that we're from somewhere, from the African continent.
Oh, you better say it and don't delay it. I like you.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, man.
Now, I'm not a geneticist, and I'm not studied probably as long as I need to, but I'm always studying and looking at new information to take back to my students or my audience in terms of history.
How long have you been teaching?
Oh, probably 20 years.
Okay, all right. Hey, listen, let's talk about it since you're first off. Thanks for stopping by.
Sure.
Or stop coming black, or should I say coming back?
Yep.
Tell somebody about your business that you're doing now.
Well, Diamond Creations is a fiber art concern that does work to represent whoever my clientele is. Okay. If people want to see my work, they can go to Maple Valley Library, and all you have to do is go in and look up. You can also go to the Vern Odom Library, also known as the Old Wooster Branch, but it's the Vern Odom Library. I have a piece in there. And I also do private commissions for businesses that want to have an artistic presence in their place of work.
So or I do people outside of Akron, how can they get in touch?
I mean, people outside of Akron have some of my work. Tyrone Jeter has some of my work, for example, who used to live here in Akron and now is in South Carolina doing great and big things.
How can they get in touch with you if they're from out of Akron?
If you're from,
or how can they see your works if they're not coming to Akron?
If they're not coming to Akron, they need to go to those collectors that have it, because I'm not getting institutions there. But I am in the process of doing corporate commissions for businesses that want to have it.
You have a website, Ms. Calhoun?
Not yet. I need one.
You have on Facebook, Ms.
Calhoun? I guess I'm on Facebook. It's Designs by Deborah Calhoun.
Okay, all right. So they can see some of your work on Designs by.
I haven't posted a lot of it because I'm waiting to do a launch. I'm working also on a cookbook for the food side of myself.
Let's talk about the food side of yourself before we get out of here. I mean,
yes,
let's talk about it.
Well, I do different takes on food. I'm a foodie by heart. I'm always trying new spices. My spice cabinet is probably 40 different spices and growing. But I also pull from different ethnicities in terms of food. I'm not afraid to try, well, what's on the Latina side, what's on the African side, what's in the Central America side in terms of spices and ideas for food. I most recently posted how to work with black eyed peas. We just celebrated the new year fairly recent ago, and the ubiquitous black eyed pea has a lot of names and it comes in a lot of places and looks, and not the black eyed peas we're used to seeing at New Year's. Okay. So I will take something like that and put a twist on it and put a little Africa or Brazil or Sierra Leone in it and make it ours. Make it ours. Yeah.
Well, listen, again, if somebody want to follow you on social media, give us your degrees, give us your mathematics. How can they follow you?
You can follow me on Designs by Deborah Calhoun on Facebooklet. And other than that, you can give me a call when you see me in the internet space or in a grocery store buying spices because I'm everywhere.
You better say, hey, listen,
Yep.
I appreciate you for stopping by.
Yep.
Again, that is the lovely Deborah Calhoun, Professor Deborah Calhoun.
The community professor.
Because you ain't teaching today.
I'm not teaching today.
You
I'm
taught
the
today.
community
You
professor.
taught the community today.
The community professor.
All right. And we back. Listen, I can go on days and days, just like my sister did, but I'm not. I'm gonna put a pin in it right there. I'm your brother, Brother Hiram Hakeem. Y'all better feel me before they kill me, y'all. Peace.
Can't beef with me, whole nother frequency. Bitch, EOD, what the fuck is a mug? Nigga be fake, won't leave him snuggling. He undercover, then fucking, we talking a minute. This on this stuff, nigga, fuck is you saying? Bird, bitch, you getting scarred. We ain't going back and forth by the door. We ain't going back and forth by the door. Wash, halu, ella, ilaha, illallah. We come in the name of the source. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We flipping niggas out the porch. Niggas in Paris, somebody J&J version, boss whole Jane Harden. But they think they the highest, we locking them up. You get caught with the smoke, get your flame darkened. They shoot a shot, but I ain't far. Just fuck around, hit the same target, back to back.